The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 37, given in Bombay, India.
Existence as such is one. The human problem arises because of human self-consciousness. Consciousness gives everyone a feeling that you are separate. This feeling that you are separate from existence creates all the problems. Basically, it is false. And whatsoever is based on a falsity will create anguish, will create problems, will create confusion. And whatsoever you do, which is based on this false separateness, will go wrong. So from the very beginning, the problem of human anguish has to be tackled. How it arises? Consciousness gives you a feeling that you are the center of your being. And consciousness makes you aware that others are others. You are different from them. This difference is just because of being conscious. While you are asleep, there is no difference. You are merged with the universe again. Hence, so much bliss comes out of sleep. In the morning you feel refreshed, rejuvenated, again alive, fresh. What is happening in deep sleep? You are losing your ego. You are losing yourself. You are falling in a unity with the universe. That falling back into the unity makes you fresh, alive, and in the moment you feel blissful. All the anguish disappears. All conflict struggle disappears. All fear, all death disappears. Because death is possible only if you are separate. If you are not separate, then death is impossible. Who is going to die if you are not separate? Who can suffer if you are not separate? So the whole tantra, yoga, and all other methods of meditation are just to make you aware that separateness is false, inseparateness is real. And if you can become aware of that, you will be totally different. Because the center would have disappeared from you. It will take its right place in the universe. You will be just a wave on this vast ocean. You will not be separate, so you will not be afraid. You will not feel insecure. You will not feel the anguish of approaching death, annihilation. All that disappears with the ego. Hindus have always believed that samadhi is conscious sleep. In sleep it happens automatically. That you are no more. The existence is, you are no more. But you are deeply unconscious. You don't know what is happening. If the same phenomenon can happen consciously, you become enlightened. Buddha moves to the same source. To the same source you move every night. In deep sleep, in dreamless sleep. But Buddha moves to that source consciously, alert, aware. He knows where he is moving. He knows what is happening. And when he comes back from that deep source, he comes totally different. The old has disappeared. A new being, a new energy has arisen out of it. Of this new being, the center is the universe. And with this transfer of the center, all your worries, all your anguish, all your health disappears. Simply disappears. It is not solved. It is simply not there. It cannot exist there without the ego. So how to be consciously deep asleep? How to move into sleep consciously? How to remain alert while you are losing the ego? Ego is a byproduct. Byproduct of your whole upbringing. Byproduct of the natural course of life. It has to be there. There is no way. No being can evolve without getting involved with the ego. But a point comes where ego can be dropped and should be dropped, and the being should transcend it. The ego is just like the cell of the egg. It is needed, it protects. Just like the cell of a seed, it is needed, it protects. But the protection can become dangerous also if it protects too much. If it goes on protecting and doesn't allow the seed to sprout, then it becomes a hindrance. It must dissolve into the earth so that the inner life evolves out of it. It must die. The seed must die. Everyone is born as a seed. The ego is the outer covering. It protects the child. If a child is born without the ego, without the feeling that I exist, he cannot survive. He will not be able to protect. He will not be able to struggle. He will not be able in any way to exist. He needs a strong center. Even if it is false, it is needed. But a moment comes when this help becomes a hindrance. It protects you from outside, but it becomes so strong that it will not allow you, the inner being, to spread, to go beyond it, to sprout. Ego is needed, and then ego transcendence is needed. If someone dies with the ego, he has died as a seed. He has died without being really attaining the destiny that was possible, without attaining existence consciously. These techniques are how to destroy this seed. The first technique, feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So leaving aside concern for self, become each being. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. In reality, it is so, but it is not felt so. You feel your consciousness as yours. Really, others' consciousness you never feel. At the most, you infer that others are also conscious. You infer because you think you are conscious, so beings like you must be conscious. This is the logical inference. You don't feel them as conscious. It is just like you have a headache. You feel your headache. You have a consciousness of it. Someone else has a headache. You infer. You cannot feel the other's headache. You simply infer that whatever he is saying must be true. And he must be having something like you. But you cannot feel it. The feeling can come only if you become conscious about others' consciousness. Otherwise, it is a logical inference. You believe, you trust that others are saying something honestly. And whatever they are saying is worth believing because you also have similar type of experiences. There is a logical school who say that nothing can be known about the other. It is impossible. At the most, inference. Nothing certain can be known about others. How can you know that others have pain like you? Others have anxieties like you? Really, others are there. We cannot penetrate them. We can only just touch their surface. Their inner being remains unknown. We remain closed in ourselves. The world around us is not a felt world, just inferred, logically, rationally. The mind says it is there. The heart is not touched by it. That's why we behave with others as if they are things, not persons. Our relationship with persons also is as if it is with things. A husband behaves with his wife as a thing. He possesses her. The wife possesses the husband, just like a thing. If we behave with the other as a person, then we will not try to possess. Because only things can be possessed. A person means freedom. The person cannot be possessed. And if you try to possess it, you will kill it. It will become a thing. Our relationship with others is really not a I-thou relationship. Deep, it is just I-it relationship. The other is just a thing to be manipulated, to be used, exploited. That's why love becomes more and more impossible. Because love means taking the other as a person, as a conscious being, as a freedom, as valuable as you are. When you behave with things, you are the center, and things are just to be used. The relationship is utilitarian. Things have no values in themselves. The value is that you can use them. They exist for you. A person exists for himself. You can be related to your house. The house exists for you. It is an utility. The car exists for you. But the wife doesn't exist for you. The husband doesn't exist for you. The husband exists for himself. The wife exists for herself. That's what being a person means. And if you allow the person to be a person and don't reduce him to be a thing, you will by and by start feeling him. Otherwise you cannot feel. Your relationship will remain conceptual, intellectual, mind to mind, head to head, but not heart to heart. This technique says, feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. This will be difficult, because first you have to feel the person, as a conscious being. Even that is difficult. Jesus says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. The same. But the other first must become a person for you. He must exist in his own right, not to be exploited, manipulated, utilized, not as a means, but an end in himself. First, the other must become a person. The other must become a Tao, as valuable as you are. Only then this technique can be applied. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. First feel that the other is conscious. And then this can happen. You can feel that the other has the same consciousness that you have. Really the other disappears. Only a consciousness flows between you and him. You become two poles of one consciousness flowing, of one current. In deep love it happens. That the two persons are not two. Something in between two has come into being. And these two have just become two poles. Something is flowing between the two. When this flow is there, you feel blissful. If love gives bliss, it gives only because of this. The two persons, even for a single moment, lose their egos The otherness is lost, and oneness comes into being. Even for a single moment, if it happens, it is ecstatic, it is blissful. You have entered paradise, even for a single moment. And this moment can be transformed. This technique says that this you can do with every person in love. You may do, and you may like to do it with some person. But in meditation, you have to do with every person. Whosoever comes near you, simply dissolve into him and feel that you are not two, but one life is flowing. This is just changing the gestalt. Once you know, once you have done it, it is very easy. In the beginning it seems impossible, because we are so stuck in our own egos. It is difficult to become a fellow. It is difficult to lose. So it will be good if you try it in the beginning with something where you are not much scared and afraid. Sitting near a tree, just feel that tree and you have become one, and there is a flow between you, a communication, a dialogue, a melting. You will be less afraid of a tree, and it will be easier. Sitting near a river flowing, just feel the flow, that you and river have become one. Lying under the sky, just feel that you and the sky have become one. In the beginning, it will be just imagination, but by and by, you will feel that you are touching reality through imagination. And then try it with persons. It is difficult in the beginning to try with persons. The fear is the same that you have been doing with persons. You have been reducing them to be things. You are afraid. If you allow someone to be so intimate, he will reduce you into a thing. That's the fear. So no one allows much intimation. A gap is always to be guarded. Too closeness is dangerous, because the other can convert you into a thing. He can try to possess you. That's the fear. You are trying to convert others into things, and others are trying to convert you. And no one wants to be a thing. No one wants to become a means. No one wants to be used. That is the most degrading phenomenon. You being reduced to be just a means to something, not valuable in yourself. But everyone is trying. Because of this, there is a deep fear. So it will be difficult to start this technique with persons. It started with a river, with a hill, with the stars, with the sky, with trees. Once you come to know the feeling, that when you become one with the tree, what happens? When you become one with the river, what happens? How blissful you become? Without losing anything, you gain the whole existence. Then you can try it with persons. And if it is so blissful with a tree, with a river, you cannot imagine how much more blissful it will be with a person. Because a person is a higher phenomenon, a higher evolved being. Through a person you can reach higher peaks of experience. Even with a rock, you can become ecstatic. So with a person, you can feel just divine ecstasy happening to you. But it starts with something you are not much afraid. Or if you have some person you love, your friend, your beloved, your lover, of whom you are not afraid, with whom you can be really intimate and close without any fear, with whom you can lose yourself without getting scared deep down that he will turn you into a thing. If you have someone like that, then try this technique. Lose yourself consciously into it. And when you lose consciously into someone, that someone will lose into you. When you are open, when you flow into the other starts flowing into you. And there is a deep meeting, a communion. Two energies melt into each other. In that state, there is no ego, no individual. Simple consciousness. And this is possible if with one individual. This is possible with the whole universe. What saints have called ecstasy samadhi is just a deep love phenomenon between a person and the whole universe. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So leaving aside concern for self, become each being. We are always concerned with our own self. Even while we are in love, we are concerned with our own self. That's why love becomes a misery. It can become heaven, but it becomes a hell. Because even lovers are concerned with their own self. The other is loved because he gives you happiness, joy. The other is loved because you feel good with him. But the other is still not loved as something valuable in himself or herself. The value comes through your enjoyment. You are gratified. You are satisfied in some way. That's why the other has become significant. But this is also using the other. Concern for the self means exploitation of the other. And religious consciousness can come into existence only when the concern for the self is lost. Because then you become non-exploitative. With existence, your relationship becomes not of exploitation, but of sheer sharing, sheer bliss. You are not using. You are not being used. It becomes a sheer celebration of being. But concern for the self has to be thrown away. This is very deep-rooted, this concern for the self. It is so deep-rooted that you are not even aware of it. In one of the Upanishads it is said that the husband loves his wife not for the wife, but for himself. The mother loves the child, not for the child, but herself. The concern for the self is so deep-rooted that whatsoever you do for yourself. This means that you are always gratifying the ego, feeding the ego, feeding a false center which has become a barrier between you and the universe. Lose the concern for the self. Even sometimes, even for a few moments, you can lose concern for the self and can become concerned with the other, can become concerned with the other self. You will be entering in a different reality, a different dimension. Hence so much emphasis on service, love, compassion. Because compassion, love or service means concern for the other self, not concern with yourself. But look, human mind is so cunning that even human mind has converted service, compassion and love in concern for the self. A Christian missionary serving, and his service is sincere. Really, no one else serves so deeply and intensely as a Christian missionary can do. No Hindu can do that. No Mohammedan can do that. Because Jesus has emphasized service so much. A Christian missionary is serving poor people, ill people, diseased people. But deep down he is concerned with himself, not with them. This service is just a method to reach heaven. He is not concerned with them. He is not really concerned with them at all. He is concerned with his own self. And through service, he can achieve a greater self. So he is doing service. But he has missed the basic point. Because service means the concern for the other. The other is the center, and you have become the periphery. Try it sometimes, when you make someone the center. His happiness becomes your happiness. His misery becomes your misery. Whatsoever happens to him and flows to you, but he is the center. Even once, if you can feel this, that the other was the center, you have become just a periphery to him. You have entered a different type of existence, a different dimension of experience. Because in that moment you will feel such deep bliss, unknown before, unexperienced before. Just by making others the concern, you will lose all misery. In that moment, there will be no hellfire. You have entered paradise. Why it happens? It happens because ego is the root of all misery. If you can forget it, if you can dissolve it, all misery dissolves with it. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So leaving aside concern for self, become each being. Become the tree, become the river, become the wife, become the husband, become the child or the mother, become the friend. It can be practiced every moment of life. But in the beginning it will be difficult. So do it at least 1 hour every day. In that hour, whatsoever passes around you, become that. You think how it can happen. But there is no other way to know how it can happen. You have to practice it. Sit with the tree and feel that you have become the tree. And when the wind comes and the whole tree starts shaking and trembling, feel that shaking and trembling in you. And when the sun rises and the whole tree becomes alive, feel that aliveness in you. And a shower of rain comes and the whole tree is satisfied and content. A long thirst, a long awakening has disappeared and the tree is completely satisfied and content. Feel satisfied and content with the tree. And then you will become aware of subtle moods, nuances of a tree. You have seen that tree for so many years, but you don't know its moods. Sometimes it is happy, sometimes it is unhappy. Sometimes it is sad, dead, worried, frustrated. Sometimes very blissful, ecstatic. There are moods. The tree is alive and it feels. But if you become one with it, then you will feel it. Then you will feel whether the tree is young or old. Whether the tree is dissatisfied with its life or satisfied. Whether the tree is in love with existence or not, empty, against, furious, angry. Whether the tree is violent or there is a deep compassion in it. Every moment as you are changing, the tree is also changing. If you can feel a deep affinity, what we call empathy. Empathy means that you become so sympathetic that really you become one. The moods of the tree become your moods. And then if this goes deeper and deeper and deeper, you can talk. You can have communication with the tree. Once you know its moods, you start understanding its language. And the tree will share its mind with you. It will share its agonies and its sadness. And this can happen with the whole universe. For 1 hour at least every day try to be in empathy with something. In the beginning you will look foolish to yourself. You will think, what stupidity I am doing. And you will look around and you will feel if someone looks and someone sees and someone comes to know, they will think you have gone crazy. But only in the beginning. Once you enter this world of empathy, the whole world will look crazy to you. They are missing so much unnecessarily. Life gives in such abundance And they are missing it. They are missing because they are closed. They don't allow life to enter in them. And life can enter you only if you enter in life from many, many ways, from many paths, from multi-dimensions. At least for 1 hour every day. And that was the meaning in the beginning of every religion. The meaning of prayer was this, to be in affinity with the universe. To be in a deep communication with the universe. In prayer you are talking to God. God means the totality. Sometimes you may be angry with the God. Sometimes thankful. But one thing is certain, that you are in communication. The God is not just a mental concept. It has become a deep, intimate relationship. That's what prayer means. But our prayers have gone rotten because we don't know how to communicate with beings. And if you cannot communicate with beings, you cannot communicate with the being with a B capital. It is impossible. If you cannot communicate with a tree, how can you communicate with the total existence? And if you feel foolish talking to a tree, you will feel more foolish talking to God. 1 hour every day, live for a prayerful state of mind. And don't make your prayer a verbal affair. Make it a feeling thing. Rather than saying with the head, feel it. Go and touch the tree. Hug the tree. Kiss the tree. Close your eyes and be with the tree as if you are with your beloved. Feel it. And soon you will come to a deep understanding. What it means to put the self aside. What it means to become the other. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So leaving aside concern for self, become each being. Second technique. This consciousness exists as each being and nothing else exists. Scientists used to say in the past that only matter exists and nothing else exists. Great systems of philosophy arose based on this concept that only matter exists. But even those who believe that matter exists, they had to concede that something like consciousness is there. Then what it is? So they said that consciousness is just a epiphenomenon, just a byproduct of matter. It is nothing but matter in disguise. Something very subtle but still material.